Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to start quite early this time because there are a few views already, which we're very, very happy about because it's the first public event since everything happened. We've been wondering a lot with the team at CASTRO about what involving the public online would mean, and we've waited till this time because we realized that not everything can be translated online, and it is very important at the same time for us to keep feeling and listening to the public. So we wanted to do something that wasn't exactly translating what we do online, but at the same time, we wanted to feel with together with the community again. We're going to do this talk in English as usual, but we're very keen on listening to what you think while the talk is going on. So please feel free to type in comments or questions on the Facebook Live comment section. We will be reading the questions towards the end of the conversation, and hopefully those comments will start a further discussion with the speakers. It made sense for us to start with this specific talk online, as the two speakers have never actually met in person, which is quite fitting. They have been trying to meet, and they have had various their paths have crossed various times, but they've actually only spoken online up to now. So it made sense to start like this. So the speakers today are Stefania Carlotti and Gloria de Risi. We're very happy to have them on. Thanks for being here with CASTRO and everyone. I'm gonna leave the proper introduction to Giulia Floris, my colleague at CASTRO. Again, please feel free, whoever's listening, to pop in comments at any time.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As Gaia mentioned, we are very, very glad about this first talk online, and especially your talk. Here is Stefania Carlotti, who won the Artist Fellowship in CASTRO from last September until this March, with the pandemic spreading in the country, and this is the proof that CASTRO is a big community, and all our fellows are always part of CASTRO, also after finishing the fellowship here. She is based in Lausanne, and she's an amazing visual artist who work with daily material, creating incredible and wonderful new universes. And speaking today with Gloria de Risi. Hello, Gloria. One of the founder with Alessio Baldissera and Alberto Zenere of Fanta in Milan, a gallery that I met for the first time when it still was Fanta-Spazio, a project space that was part of my life in Milan, and so thank you, Gloria, for joining us tonight. I leave you the word, and thank you again, and thank you all for joining.
Actually, thank you, Gaia and Giulia, for finally making this encounter, although digitally, with Stefania possible, and thank you, Stefania, for inviting me to this talk. As Gaia was saying, we tried to meet in person several times, but there were a series of unlucky events that kind of prevented us to do so. So I'm very happy that through this conversation, we had the chance to speak about Stefania's work in the past few months, because it was originally planned to happen physically a few months ago, and now virtually in the past weeks. I think we can start, and I think a good way to start to talk about your work, Stefania, is talking about, I think, the importance of narration within your work. As Julia was saying, you work with different media, which includes sculpture, writing, video, photography, and animation. But one of the key characteristics of your work is actually that narration is very present, and is what allows you also to create what Julia was saying are like this parallel universe in which different elements meet. You often use some of your sculptures as either the subjects or the settings or the props of other works that you make with video, or like in one of your last series of works, photography, for example. And I think maybe it's actually good to start from this very last series of works you've been making, which is a series of photomontage, titled Untitled Work in Progress, in which some of your small ceramic sculptures are photographed and then photoshopped into the stills from the last series of the last scene of Zabriskie Point, filmed by Antonioni. And I think this series is quite interesting as a starting point, also because it brings us to one of the key, like one of the themes we explore when talking about your work, which is the one of the explosions, and which in a way can be a nice way into talking about your work, your practice, and the process behind it. So if you want to say something about this series of works and how you came up with them, and maybe show us something.
Super. So hi everyone, and I think that explosion is like a good similitude to speak about the process that I do when I think about a work. So usually when I start to think about a work, it's I start from the observation of what is surround me, and like it's an image of a common or ordinary world, part of my daily life, or like a common daily life that I turn to piece and I replace with an expanded perception of what is in material universe. And yes, I think that explosion works well, I think, because it's like absorbing what is surround me and then make it explode, and then showing the strange combination of all these parts. So maybe it's nice to show the work that we are speaking about. Yes, I try to. I think that now it's work. So this is a series of photomontage, a series of image where I decide to show my ceramics. And now there are 6 images, and I put my ceramic inside of image of explosion, and this image come from how you say before, Gloria, a movie of by Antonioni. The name is Zabriskie Point, and I decide, I don't know, I put the image, maybe yes. I decided to show my ceramic inside this quite internet world. So you, in the last conversation that we had, you tell me that my subjects are quite pop, and I completely agree with you. because I think that they come from a desire of represented a standard word, a standard imaginary, and I think that to be standard, it's quite, it's more or less one of the most difficult things that we can do, and maybe they came from about the desire of normalization that I have and that I try to discover with my practice, and I think that the subject of the ceramic came from of it. And also the choice to use this screenshot take from the Antonioni movies, the Prinsky Point, it was quite symbolic because for the iconic value that usually this film has is like this big critic about the capitalistic world and the capitalistic society. So I think that fit well with this work, and so I think that also if someone never saw the film, it's nice to show it, and this is the scene. Hello. So I think that it's quite clear, and
I think it's quite interesting. In last time we spoke, you were mentioning how this works originally. You came up with these works originally because you were asked to document some of your recent work for a publication.
Yeah.
And then through this process, the photographs eventually became the actual work.
Yeah, finally it was like this because I think I have all the time like this problem with showing the objects, that it's like to try to not using like a commercial, like a marketing logic to show the object. So I think this is the point. So in this case, I decided to put my ceramics inside this image, like to create also a sort of ambiguity with it. So like in this digital space, you don't know if these ceramics really exist in the real life, if they are only a computer image, or of course I did, but finally I never show, and it was like in a certain way, like a way to show it. And yes, finally the material became unclear, and also the dimension, and I like to play with it, to take like a little bit the distance from this marketing logic that usually it's like the binom with the object, and also yes, I think that it's also in a certain way gimmick to speculate with other beginnings, for like in a certain way create a narration with them, and to do like a switch with the object to be that they can become subject in a certain way, and yeah, protagonist of different narration. Yeah.
I think this ambiguity also brings us to another series of works you've been making recently, and also takes us back to the references to cinema in a way. So Antonioni for this series, but it's you reference cinema several times also in other works. And I think in particular, love, for example, the interest in the Western genre, and that is very present in a recent series of works of sculptures you've been making, which are sculptures of bars. They take this idea of this Western imaginary, or this idea of the saloon as a starting point. And for one of these sculptures, kind of like the same process that happened with the ceramics and the photo montage happened through the creation of a video called Body, where again you kind of lose completely sense of the materiality of the objects, or like its scale, because you have this camera kind of wandering inside this sculpture, in very like focusing on very small details and on the surfaces, while at the same time we can hear in the background this song that feels like some country music, and that kind of highlights also the folkish atmosphere of this sculpture. And if you want to show us some images of this series of works you've been making, and maybe tell us something about them. I'm also quite interested in why this specific focus on bars, this obsession with this kind of environment is present in your last series of works.
Yeah, of course. So now I try, and I think that it could work. Yes. Yeah, I keep this image of the last bar that I did, and to speak a little bit about the relation that I have with the cinema is like, I think that the strong connection that my work have with cinema is probably to highlight the importance that I give of the narration, and also the super imperceptible border between reality and fiction, that it's more like a mix in my work, and I like to play with it to merge in a single thing. And yes, this is one of the last bar that I did, and it's yellow, yellow Ferrari, and with a little bit of stain of smog probably, and like my work, like always, I take some of my fragment memories that also I believe that memory is already a narration, or maybe common memory, or maybe my daydreams, or I don't know, like the image that the mind creates when it's flowing away. And yes, this is a bar of where I went a lot of evening and night when I was a little bit more young, and it's a local bar so typical of my city, and only to say that the only music that you can listen is Vasco Rossi. I come from Modena, and I want to show some image. I take the picture today, and this is my new studio, so I need to paint the wall. There are a lot of works to do, but I think that I can explain a little bit. Yeah, this yellow bar is bent into one side, and also all the furniture that are only the only protagonists that are inside are falling down to slope. And yes, I play a lot with this bar, because for me the bar is like a safe zone. I don't know. I think that in my work it's a base. Finally, it's that I like to quote. It's a book that I read about more bar that I read from Al Foster. The name is Design and Crime. And he spoke about this, the design that is filling everything, and the branding of identity, and the marketing of culture, etc., etc. And one thing that he said is like the lack of running room in the contemporary world. And I think that in a certain point the bar can be this running room, so like in the safe place where you can go and maybe keep out the facade that you need to keep all the day, and like I saw the bar like a safe zone. So I like also to play with it, to like I did with the last bar that I will go to show, and use not more like an art object, but more like a set. And how you say, this is the bar. How you say, I used to shoot a video clip of this country song that I write, and yes, I like to activate also I think that the relationship with cinema that you spoke, it's more a relation with time, because I think that for the work, the time and the space, they have the same importance for an artwork. And I think that if you forgot the time, probably it's like a big lack. And I think that without time, the in a certain way you objectify and you commodify the work. So I think that create this set to this video that I want to show, it was a funny way to play with it. And I show the video.
Don't tell anyone.
Wait a little.
Buddy, don't tell anyone what your next move is. Don't have to trust anyone here. It's very easy to forget about you. Remember this. There's a lot of people, buddy. You want him inside and you do well. You could go get 2 drinks, buddy. I am thirsty as I can be in this inventory hell. So take a sip from another drink and light a cigarette. And as you listen, you keep smiling. It's the end of the day, then we all go to the bar again and again. Look at that man, buddy, how he shines in the neon white light. Smiling at you too, buddy. The man you're talking to can introduce him to you. 4 wise women are already dragging him away, buddy. But now you've wasted your last opportunity. Don't be pathetic, you know what you want in life, buddy. You have to learn to sculpt your fragility. So take a sip from another drink and light a cigarette. And as you listen, you keep smiling. It's the end of the day, then we all go to the bar again and again. Hide your regular life, buddy. In this white space of solitude, you must shine as he does. Cause you need money, buddy. You need ego to keep living a normal life. You're already on the wrong line, buddy. Cause you're listening to my words. With friends just cause we're drinking the same wine. So take the last sip from your drink and light a cigarette. And as you listen, you keep smiling. It's the end of the day, it's time to move to the bar again and again.
Okay, this was the song, and
Kind of talks about what you said before, no? I mean, there's very much this idea of the bar as a safe place compared to like the situation the singer is describing, which is like the one of it's a situation we're all quite very used to, which is the exhibition opening.
yeah,
Talks about all these insecurities or anxieties that can come with such a social setting. Whereas on the other hand, there is the bar that comes after the opening and this sort of a safe zone where you can finally relax
yeah,
and smoke a cigarette.
yeah. I think I really agree with what you say, and yeah, it was. I think that the text it's like extremely nostalgic and cynical at the same times, and Yeah, and there is this mysterious cowboy that with the name of Steve Hiley, and that tells about the difficult to be an artist, and the difficult of the world of the networking and the connection, and and how you need to build like sometimes a facade, like a smiley facade, and to keep with the system. And I think that in a certain point it's so fiction, it's so fantasy, this character, but in another way it's surreal, like and in a way it's like it could be everyone, or it could be no one, it could be me, it could be and also you asked me before about the western movie, and I think that I'm interested on it for the romantic vision that they have about freedom, and yes, and I think also the match that the mood of the character, the usually are Wonder's character, it's matched with the landscape, and I think that it's worked well. It's one of the reason that I decided to do in this brown bar, so dark and so saloon, this country song.
There's also something quite nostalgic, for example, compared to like super hype bar that were normally used in our daily life, I would say.
Yeah, it's like this is in a certain way that this is a safe place, like home. I don't know, it's like the local bar where you can escape of it was this a little bit. And this, I think it was the only bar that it was completely fiction, and all the other bars that I did are like image or memory of other bars, but this is like the idea of the bar, and I think that fit with it.
Absolutely. I also think that this sort of like romantic or nostalgic idea also takes us back to I would say the technique, the process behind your art making, being it in sculpture or like films or like other media. There's always this sort of almost amateur or like crafty aesthetics that kind of characterizes your work. And earlier you mentioned this text by Hal Foster that I had the chance also to read through my conversation with you. And as you said, it talks a lot about this idea of branding, how branding is everywhere, and how branding has become so sophisticated nowadays. And I wonder if this approach that you have also when you make sculptures or films, where the special effects, for example, if I think of Badi, are very like the smoke, they're very evident, like they don't pretend to be real. Like, so you really have this feeling that, as you said before, reality and fictions really have a contrast between each other, and it's very present, this ambiguity, but also this clash in between these elements. And I wonder if this is also a way for you to maybe resist, in a way, the sophistications that seem to be so present everywhere today, and also in production possibilities, for example.
Yeah, I think that it's a sort of reject about this shining facade that everything has now, and how we spoke before about like this Hal Foster idea of total design, and and I think that it was super important for me, and I like to quote a discussion that I have with one of my ex-teacher during the master here in Lausanne, I spoke with Valentin Carron, and once he told me a phrase that I think that I can't forget for all my life. And he told me that when you need to speak, to think a new work, you need to remember to keep. And he told me the word kiss, and the spelling is KISSS with 3 S, and for him it was keep it simple, stupid, and sensible. And I think that it was a really nice quote, and I think that I remember it, and when I think about the work, and yeah, I think that the low profile, maybe the cheapness in the effect, or yeah, with the aesthetic, or like the infantilization of everything. It's a little bit to follow this phrase, to keep simple, stupid, and sensible, and I think that it's important for me.
I think it makes it very approachable also by the public. No, it draws you in, this DIY aesthetics. It's very familiar, which is also like this idea of the familiar, something your work in general plays a lot around with, this idea of like familiar objects or situation that kind of surround you and that you kind of replicate and bring into a new different word or narrative.
Yeah, and I like also, yeah, this is, I think, also familiar, but in a certain way, I think that I try to change like the order of cause and effect, maybe, and to alterate it, and to create like a messy hierarchy, so of objects, time and space. So I think that is the consequence is like this something alien that go out of it, and is like, I don't know, something so familiar, but show like with a little bit of, in a different way, also a little bit, it could be so something so different, so alien, and it's like I don't know, it's like I don't know, I think that when I work, I try to
Subvert a bit,
take the realism more alien. I don't know, this is yeah.
No, you subvert very apparently familiar situation into something quite uncanny often.
Yeah.
I would say also. I think another good example in this sense, that we go back in time a bit, but it's the publication Rush Like a Pro that you made for your graduate project. And also here you have this, it's a publication you made with 4 short stories that go along with a series of images taken from a very familiar advertisement here in Italy, which is the advertisement of the Oral-B, which is a toothbrush or toothpaste advertisement. And it also functions as a flip book, because like if you flip through the book, you have this image of this girl smiling that kind of slightly changes going from one page to the other. And that's also something, it's very, very present every day, but becomes weirdly uncanny while flipping through the book. And also this idea of the smile that I think started here, but then became quite present in your work, and also in your recent animation, digital the animation that you made. So I don't know if you want to say this idea of the smile.
It's nice if I show also Rush Like a Pro, because I try to play as usual with the switch of the role of subject and object, and it was I try like in the story to try to to treat the object like subject and the subject like object, and I found interesting to put to show also this image of screenshot of the Oral-B commercial, and because I think also in this case I'm so attracted about about toothpaste or toothbrush commercial, because I think all the time that keep the smile like a little bit too much, and the smile became like a grimace, I think. So it's not a smile anymore. And also I found interesting how like something that it's so human, like a smile, could be so objectified. And so only to give you an idea, I want to show that I don't have the real object, but I can show like this. And this is the effect. Yes. So this was the publication, and also it's more or less 1 year ago that I started a series of animation, and this animation used the character, or the character of this animation are the packaging of a Swiss brand of low budget product. The name is Pre-Guarantee, and it was so funny because the design is so low profile. Usually it's like a white background with this super child, the anthropomorphization of the food or of the object. And the things that I find funny is that all the time they have a super big smile, and so I recreated this dystopian universe where there is only one rules, and the rules is that you can never stop to smile. So there are some stuff that happen, and in the first of this episode, the protagonists smile too much and they explode. So I think that also it's a nice ending. We start with explosion and we can finish with another explosion. So I show you the animation. Voila.
Yeah, we started with an explosion. We're finishing with one.
Yeah, it's this.
I don't know, because I haven't really checked on Facebook. I don't know if there are any questions or comments from the public, or if you, Gaia or Julia, have any questions.
Yeah, I think Gaia and Serena are coming. First of all, thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity in questions and to have gone so in depth with Stefania's research, and thank you, Stefania, for your generosity as well in responding and in telling us about your work. I know that Gaia collected some questions, and I have maybe one more. I don't know, Gaia.
I'll start with one and leave you the second one to you. So we got a question from the public. Basically, it revolves around your interest in design, Steffi. So you briefly mentioned the vision that you have of design, but not exactly. If you could go more in depth on the aesthetic that is typically linked to branding design on a technical level. Does that make sense? I'm translating from Italian, so it's complicated. So I think the question is if you could go more in depth about your interest in design on a technical level, because you spoke about your interest in design generally and to the design aesthetics, but maybe if you could go more in depth about how this influences your work on a technical level.
Yeah, I think it's related also to your studying of the object and I don't know of the. Yeah, I agree with branding design. I mean, the Oral-B one and the brand of what was the product by Switzerland that you talk about. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that my interest in design more than like an aesthetic of what I said, it's more the process of the design that I have now, that it's to create identity. So more than like the glossy and shiny probably object that will be created and that it's the object of desire. It's more like my link with the design, when I spoke about design, it's more about like a process that it's craft and to be crafty is like the loop that create with when we spoke about design, like we create an object and at the same time the object is created with our design or our desire or so it's like the exchange that object, it became like a mini subject. I don't know, it's like it's this loop of design, and also I think that it's like super personal probably because when I came here in Switzerland I did like a school that it's so design, so I think that is reject or maybe this affection or maybe I think that this relation it's also arrives from it, that it was all completely shiny, and I think that it's more or less the link with when I spoke about design. It's not about the object, but I think that this loop with the creation and to be create and yeah, that interests me.
So it's you mean it's the approach to see it as a subject rather than as an object?
Yeah, yes.
And I think it's interesting that you take, I mean, you're obviously very conscious about this as a strategy also for branding or like for advertisement, for example, but then in your work, you kind of subvert it completely or like make it much more ambiguous?
Yeah, I think that I ironize sometimes, I criticize, but all the time I'm super, I think, attached. It's something that is in my work, and I think that I can't escape probably.
I think that I'm going to read the second question. That is about the difference between, and it's something that I noticed also, I mean, observing your work when you were in CASTRO, that the object, the single object that you represent are so rich of particular, and then the setting, the bar, like monochrome. I mean, the particular are many as well, at several, but only the one color setting it's definitely less real, and I can say that because I remember that one time I thought that one cigarette that you made as a work I thought was real. So
yeah, I think that it was like a way to take the distance to create only a maquette. Probably it was like a desire to create a sculpture. I don't know, not only the representation of the little bar. So I think that to color only in to choose one color to cover the entire bar, it became like a rest. I don't know, it's something that I don't know, like, and I think also it's became more an object, I don't know, more a sculpture. It's like so I don't know if it's a strange color, but it's like so characteristic color. So for me, it's also the idea of it. It's like I don't know, like a daydream or like a dream when you remember a color. So it's I don't know, the brown, for example, it was like the color of the wood of the saloon, or the yellow is like the color of the Ferrari from Modena, or I don't know, it's like some symbolic color that it's like a filter, I don't know, like a layers that you put on the object, I think.
I have a question as well for you, and it's related to something that Gloria asked you before, that you were talking about this relation with fiction, that it's pretty clear in the video and in all your works with bar. But I've noticed that the mood is, I mean, it's functional, it's very related to cinema, but it's turbid, it's always like chaotic. Every frame is not taken in a clear way. It's, I mean, you always are telling to the viewer a story, but it's always like a turbid story, and I'm quite curious about that. And also with the explosion of Zabriskie Point, it's not the same thing. You take all the object in a relenting way, giving to the viewer the chance to think about such an incredible and very risky story behind the work. Can you tell me something more about that?
Yeah, you said like why in the bar it's so chaotic, why in the
yeah, but also the yellow one is like as you said, after a sort of fight, a bar after a fight, and a video. In the video, you can never see all the bar in just a view. It's always something very, I don't know, foggy and unclear. I can imagine only a thriller inside there, or.
Yeah, it's funny because the last day a friend of mine looking about it, he told me that it's look like the set after that of a bar that after the shooting of a Jackie Chan movie or something like this. So it made me super laugh. And, I don't know. Probably it's because I don't know. I think that sometimes it happens and. But all the time, like this narration that sometimes are not clear, maybe they don't have a starting point and end. It's probably because I like the idea to give at the viewer another point of view and to keep open the narration to like a speculative ending or something that it's more open and and I think also that sometimes different move in other ways. So maybe for the sculpture that are physical, it's nice to keep like a little bit time more to do the tour and maybe to check all the. I think yes, and I like also this relation with time with the object or with the works that I create. And also, I don't know, like the difference how you can perceive an image or maybe a sculpture that it's physical and real. And probably it's more faster to do a zoom on the computer. And maybe it's more difficult to do a zoom like in the real world. And